Welcome, everyone. My name is Susan Patterson. I'm a national leader in the fight against human trafficking. In today's video, we're going to look at 17 ways to discourage sex buying, which is key to ending human sex trafficking. In every business model, there's supply, demand, and the middleman. If any one of these three components is missing, the business crumbles. We can address supply with parent and teen videos, and this video for parents can support you in doing that. For the most part, law enforcement takes care of the middleman, who's the trafficker or the pimp. This is also a place where the church can intervene, as many pimps do want to get out of the life, but there are no agencies that are helping them to do that. In this video, Bishop Gail Oliver talks about bringing Jesus to the pimps. Once they have found Jesus, they can be encouraged to provide restitution, like the wealthy buyer who, once he understood how his actions were causing immense suffering to women, he gave a house to an organization that takes care of survivors of sex trafficking. You can find the link for the videos I just mentioned in the video description below. The business of sex trafficking is about money. So if we cut off the money, it is the single most powerful thing we can do to end sex trafficking. Sex trafficking has gotten so big that we just don't have the resources to arrest our way out of the problem. If we don't prevent it, it will never end. The business of prostitution allows the human traffickers to hide their victims in plain sight. When we reduce sex buying, it does impact prostituted people who are not victims of human trafficking. However, according to studies done by people like Dr. Melissa Farley, 84% of prostituted people are under third-party control, meaning there's a third party who's benefiting financially from the transaction, like a pimp. So contrary to what many believe, when we reduce sex buying, who mainly benefits are victims of human sex trafficking. In the video at this channel of how the business of sex trafficking works, I touched on 4 of these sex buying strategies. However, today's video is a much more thorough look at how we reduce sex buying. To begin, let's look at one of the main sources that is driving the demand for sex buying, and that is porn viewing. For this strategy number 1, I'm going to cover what we know works to discourage porn viewing. Porn creates fantasies that encourages sex buying in order to fulfill those fantasies. Where we are at with regard to porn viewing is that porn is viewed as entertainment. Pastors have told me that they're struggling in their efforts to convince the youth that viewing porn is a sin, because in the minds of the youth, what they're doing is not hurting anyone and it is entertaining. As a faith community, we need to continue to teach God's plan for our lives, and people do care very much about doing their best to following God. However, we know from historical examples that what creates change is shifting the paradigm, or in more layman's terms, shifting the narrative, meaning shifting the perception of porn as entertainment to porn as a drug. Here is a picture of the impact that addictive porn viewing has on the brain. It has the same impact on the brain as any high-level addictive drug, because what porn does is overstimulate the pleasure centers of the brain. The Conquer series, from where this picture was taken, has a 90% success rate at helping men resolve their porn addiction and is specifically designed for churches. Another campaign that is really working is the one by Fight the New Drug, with their theme of Porn Kills Love and identifying porn as a drug. You can find many great studies at their website. When the pleasure centers of the brain are overstimulated, not only is the brain damaged, in order to protect itself, the brain reduces the number of dopamine receptors. What this means is that the individual experiences less pleasure doing anything, which results in depression. It also means that the individual will need a higher level of stimulation to experience the pleasure they are seeking. This leads to an addiction to violent porn, and there are many studies showing the link between violent porn viewing and domestic violence. Every time we do anything, it creates a neural pathway in the brain. So for addictive, violent porn viewers, that means their brain has linked sex to the intense stimulation of violent porn, and when that stimulation is missing, the male can't perform. In April of 2016, Time magazine ran the story of where healthy young men shared that their girlfriend could be standing naked in front of them and they had no interest in sex. WebMD tells us that the highest instance of ED is now among men in their 30s because they got a cell phone in their early teens. I met a 6'4", broad-shouldered Marine who asked me to name the 3 things we could do about sex trafficking. One of the things I told him was that we need to reduce porn viewing and asked him if he had seen the Time magazine article. And he said, yes, he read it. And I ain't ever touching that SHIT again. Only he really said the word. Knowing that excessive porn viewing can cause ED will work to discourage adults from viewing porn. However, nothing works for the youth except blocking it because of the immaturity of their brain. And it really makes a difference when a father talks to his sons. One father that I know told his son that the reason why he does not view porn is because he loves his wife and his daughter, and porn hurts women. This made a big impression on his son. A friend of mine found porn on her 12-year-old cell phone and got so upset, she threw the phone into a wall and it broke. Her son started crying and said, "Thank you. Thank you for doing that because I could not stop." It is up to parents to block porn on all devices, including for our girls, so that they do not become addicted to porn. Last but not least, what is stopping our society from extensively raising awareness regarding the destructive nature of porn is because up until recently, most campaigns discouraging porn viewing were done by the church and address porn as a morality issue. Beginning in 2016, states started passing resolutions declaring porn as a national health hazard. By passing this resolution, it takes porn out of the domain of morality and into the domain of a threat to one's health, which frees up money to study the destructive nature of porn. Also, identifying porn viewing as a health hazard also means that government entities like schools can teach how damaging porn is as part of health classes. Here is a list of the 16 states that have passed the resolution, and you can pause this video to see if your state is listed. It is critical that we take on discouraging porn viewing for many, many reasons, only one of which is human trafficking. Strategy number 2. We need to educate people that prostituted people are often victims of human trafficking. The study by demand abolitionists entitled "Who Buys Sex? Understanding and Reducing Market Demand" shows that when men are made aware that prostituted persons are often victims of human trafficking, the incidence of sex buying drops. The problem is how the ads promote these women. Sex buyers think they're getting together with an individual who is so into sex, they enjoy it with anyone. They think that if they were with a victim of human trafficking, they would know it because they think these victims would be begging to be rescued. I have challenged this notion by letting sex buyers know that if victims of human trafficking did that, most likely they would be killed, so they have to act like they are into the act. This leads us to strategy number 3, which is letting sex buyers know that what they are paying for is not real. Knowing that takes the thrill out of sex buying. One program that has been found to reduce sex buying is to have first-time sex buyers attend a John school. At these schools, participants watch a film of a former prostitute who lets them know that the whole time they were telling the sex buyer what a great stud they were fantasizing about all the ways they wanted to torture and kill the sex buyer. They hated the act. We need to promote the fact that not only is what they are buying is not real, their money is being used to victimize and exploit women and boys, that without their money, human sex trafficking would end. Strategy number 4 is about addressing sex addiction. For the sex addicts, even knowing that the prostituted person is most likely a victim of human sex trafficking and that they are acting, they still can't stop. This is where the faith community can come in by offering programs like Celebrate Recovery. When I was speaking at a conference, one of the speakers shared that her best friend's husband was a sex addict and often bought sex. Then he found out that his niece had become a victim of human sex trafficking. Once he understood how buying sex was exploiting women, he committed suicide, probably because he felt he couldn't stop. It would have made a big difference if he knew of a church that offered a program that could have helped him. Strategy number 5, letting buyers know that they are in fact working with criminals who will stop at almost nothing to extort money from them, including but not limited to filming and blackmailing them, will scare many from sex buying. People are afraid of gangs, the Mexican cartel, and the mafia, and certainly don't want to be doing business with them. Strategy number 6. On the positive side, law enforcement is experiencing a lot of success with using technology. Many human trafficking task forces are running John suppression campaigns. In the beginning, law enforcement would run decoy ads in places where sex buyers look, and then when the sex buyer called in, they got a law enforcement officer instead of a pimp. The officer let them know the women are victims and the penalties for sex buying. When the city of Phoenix did this, in less than a week, they collected the contact information for almost 2,700 people. So clearly we don't have the manpower to sustain that type of campaign. So now they are using AI chatbots developed by ChildSafe AI. So when sex buyers call in, they get a chatbot and they text back and forth. At one point, the chatbot lets them know that what they are doing is illegal and their information has been sent to law enforcement. Over an 8-year period from 2011 to 2019, over 9,000 sex buyers have been arrested using campaigns like this and provided law enforcement with hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. Strategy number 7. For the misogynists and sociopaths, they don't care if the women and boys are victims or if it is a fantasy. However, they do not want their wife or family or co-workers to find out that they are sex buyers. So the threat of being found out has proven to be a very effective deterrent. In Sweden, when sex buyers are given a ticket for sex buying, a letter is sent home to the house. One human trafficking task force brings the sex buyers home in a squad car, so if the wife is there, she now knows what her husband has been up to. Also, that sex buyer has to explain the scenario to their neighbors. Other methods are billboards and having their face posted at a DA's website. The threat of having their face posted is also very effective, so many cities are doing that. However, having one face posted at a website or on a billboard is controversial because then the whole family, including the children, wind up being shamed. Strategy number 8, we increase penalties for buyers. When sex buyers were asked what would keep them from purchasing sex, the answer they gave most often was a night in jail. So next I'm going to share a website with you that covers strategies 9 through 17 and is about increasing penalties for sex buyers and how effective the different penalties are. I won't be covering these here because for these types of strategies, like the effectiveness of impounding the sex buyer's car, law enforcement in cities would want to contact the National Coalition on Sexual Exploitation after going to the site that they created, which is demand-forum.org, which reviews the initiatives of 2,125 cities and counties in the U.S. as to what they are doing to deter men who buy sex. The site includes details on tactics and how to start, improve, and sustain an initiative. I offer it here so you can share the site with your law enforcement and city council members. Please do subscribe to this channel and like and share this video. Thank you for watching.